Stupid YouTube booted me from my own channel. It booted me from my own channel.
God bless them. They don't know what they're doing.
There we go. Okay, we're good. Welcome back. Happy day. I don't remember what day it is.
I think it might be Friday. But
It could be. It could also be Smorgas Day. Welcome back to the Things
nice.
We Like podcast. I'm Andrew, having a day. That's Brooks, also having a day.
Yeah,
and today we're going to talk about Nintendo Switch stuff because there's so many things to talk about.
True, and I'm going to put this in our Discord so people know. Talking about Switch.
If you're watching this after the fact and you're not in the Discord,
stuff.
What the heck are you doing? You should be in the Discord.
Everyone.
You should check the link in the description and come and hang out in the Discord. It's fun. We share memes and videos.
And they usually just make fun of me the whole time. So
and yeah, we basically just make fun of Brooks the whole time. It's great.
That's fine. That's fine. That's what I want. That's
what it's there for. Let's be honest.
Give it to me.
It's what it's there for.
True.
So, people and things and places and whatnot. It's Nintendo Switch 2. We have a new console. It is happening. We hope. We'll get to all that. But today, I wanted this to be a big-footed booby and blue man. Yeah, my lighting situation is looking really weird right now because I left some of my lights at the studio and I 100% forgot. So
I like blue man.
And blue man.
Hello, M.
It's Nintendo Switch 2 time, ladies and gents, and kings, queens, and emperors.
I like that.
It's Nintendo Switch 2 time. Legos is finally doing Pokemon. That's awesome. Like the game. That's what. Oh.
Okay, so where do we even how do you want to start this? Because there's so much.
I know.
I've seen a lot of people talking about it.
I know.
A lot of people are like, dude, this is like an extremely overwhelming Nintendo Direct. People, everybody seems to be happy.
And some people got hands-on with it already as well. I don't know if you've seen that.
Some people got to squeeze the Direct.
Yeah. I think what I would like to do is make this a everything up to now. So it is dating this date. It is April the 11th. The Nintendo Switch Direct happened on the 2nd, so it was last week.
We've had time to process.
Yeah, it's been we actually did a episode the day before, which we will talk about because we had some predictions that came true, which was pretty dope. But we'll go through that. But I think the best way to do it, best place to start, is with the Nintendo Direct itself. And we'll just definitely more quickly than before, but we'll go through it real quick.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put any audio, but
okay, I got you.
This Nintendo Switch Direct, first out the gate, new Mario Kart, crazy.
I love this because it's like open world or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
It's allegedly, and you could get kind of drive everywhere.
Yeah, also, it seems like there's the kart track situation, but then also
play as the cow.
Oh yeah, dude, and you can grind on rails.
So Sonic
and
Adventure
wall jump
2.
There he is. The man
Sonic
of the hour.
Adventure 2 kart is what this is.
Yeah, the man of the hour.
I love it.
But yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff. It seems like there's new power-ups as well, which is pretty cool.
I really weirdly like the texture on the bullet bill. You can eat burger.
They retextured this entire game significantly. They all look nice.
So this is the top of the Direct, right?
Yeah, this is what they opened the Direct with.
Yeah, just let it play.
Which is crazy. Yeah. Mario Kart World is going to be the game. It's also going to be
love the logo.
Yeah, it's dope.
After working with you long enough, it's just just doing this for a long time too. You appreciate the branding of the logos a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So after a while, they go through it and they talk about it. It's cool. Open world, drive virtually everywhere. It's dope. A lot of cool online play options and stuff. I love the mapping and how everything's functioning. We'll get to that. We'll
You know
we'll
what's
talk
crazy
about
is that what is it? Crash, whatever that Crash racing game was, beat them
hmm
to that.
the open world thing.
Yeah, the it's like
Yeah,
it
Crash Team
was like
Racing.
yeah, Crash Team Racing is what it was called. Yeah, I believe so.
I think that was the one that was open world. There was
Yeah,
one of them. Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Um. So all right, then they immediately dive into like the hardware on the Switch, but they talk about the C button and the new Joy Cons and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Also, I want to say before we get going deep into this that this is definitely like the most technical, nerdy stuff that I think they've ever shown in a
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo Direct. They don't ever go like when it comes to the console. I don't think in previous years they've talked about like refresh rates and being variable and like the high
I would.
120 hertz
It
and
would be
stuff.
weird because I wonder if they actually paid attention to people making videos and like discourse around it
I
because
think
like
so.
that would be cool if they actually are doing something like that where
Yeah.
they're like pay like wow, a company actually paying attention to feedback. So it's like, hey, here's some specs. We actually fixed this. That's
Yeah.
good.
So this what we're watching right now is the chat function,
Yeah.
which I think we talked about this as in like a prediction. And we talked about that they were going to do something with like a chat functionality,
Right.
and it feels very much like this is their attempt, that
I
it's
think
not going to work as well. I mean, that's freaking far, man. That's
yeah,
so far away from a microphone to be.
in theory it's cool, but in practice these people have never been a part of a COD lobby.
Yeah.
I know what Nintendo has the best intentions ever with things that they make, but I feel like it's the same thing. Have you okay, this is like a sidetrack, but it has something to do with what I'm talking about. Have you seen the chicken jockey discourse and meme from
Yeah.
the Minecraft movie
Yes, I
where these
have.
people are going into theaters and like just freaking out when the chicken jockey shit
Yeah.
happens? That is their actual audience. And
Yeah.
people are so, like companies and like I guess it's just boomers, like people who are like don't understand the like the social landscape in which they're creating stuff. Nintendo's the same way. They're going to be like, "Oh, having this like chat feature is going to be awesome, but it's just going to be people freaking flinging the F word at people." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, and also it seems to assume everybody's going to have good internet, which is just not the case.
Right.
Because like some of this is going to look, I mean, it already doesn't look great whenever
Oh, dude, yeah.
whenever they throw their faces up on the screens.
Stream that in 144p
Yeah.
at like
Well, like
7
even
frames.
if we look at the bottoms here, if we look at the bottoms, it's janky as all mess. Like
Yeah.
it's so glitchy. You're dropping frames left and right. Um,
That's so crazy. It's like, yeah, guys, I gotta take a break from crashing out at Mario Kart. I gotta play fucking Donkey Kong Country for a second.
yeah,
That's awesome. I gotta go play Balloon Fight for the
yeah.
NES.
And then they throw the God, that looks awful. I can't believe they highlighted that. But then they throw in the camera aspect of it and put their faces in, and I mean it's cool. I like the idea of it. I do now. Here's a thing that I'm unsure about, but a thing that I do like is the fact that they made it USB-C for the camera, which theoretically means you can plug in any USB-C camera as your camera.
Yep.
Um,
The Cam Link, the Elgato Cam Link
well,
is USB-C.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm hoping for, is that we can just like I can take my cinema camera and just run it into my Switch.
Emily says, if my friends can't even hear me on Discord mobile 2 feet away, how the F is Switch 2
Yeah.
gonna hear you?
I mean,
Good
yeah,
point.
exactly. Now, I will say for the new Pro controller, they did add a headphone jack and a mic jack for the Pro Controller, for the new Pro
Oh,
Controller.
cool.
So they did talk about that
Just
a
plug your
little
Turtle
bit.
Beaches in there and you'll be fine.
Yeah, they did talk about that. So here's where they go into like the specs of the stuff. This is the game share stuff.
Yeah. Which I think is cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And then let's go and this is like the specs on the system itself.
I gotta go back in this video and cut that guy out for the thumbnail.
Oh yeah, for sure. So much bigger screen. It's actually crazy how much bigger
Wow.
that screen is. Like it's
Me versus the guy she tells you not to
yeah,
worry
yeah,
about.
exactly. And honestly, I really like the black. I'm a sucker for black on black. Like that's kind of my
Me too.
aesthetic. So I loved the black on black like aesthetic with the subtle hints of color. I know
like
some
it,
people
too.
are kind of.
I think it looks great.
Dr. Deathwish, thank you for popping in. We're talking all things Nintendo Switch today.
Size
So
matters, apparently.
yeah, well, this looks great, but it's thinner, ever so slightly thinner. I
That's
will say
wild.
the you can tell how much thinner it is because if you look at the distance between like the Joy-Cons and the back, it's crazy.
Mhm.
But then also the trigger
The
buttons, they're
they just
so much
protrude.
bigger.
Yeah.
They're so much bigger. Look at that by comparison. Like this whole trigger button versus this.
Yeah.
Like
I also love how like the console can get a little bit thinner, but they can put much more powerful hardware in there. That's always fascinated me about like computers and technology. It's like
So
we made
here's
it
the-
smaller, but we also
here's-
put like 1,000 terabytes.
this is the pixel comparison.
Wow.
So the darker gray spot being the old Nintendo Switch, and then the full thing being the.
Oh wow. That's cool.
That amount of pixel density is crazy, actually.
That was that was good. That got me.
Dang.
The ugly Mario close up was worth it.
100. Okay, so this is crazy. 120 hertz
Or
like frame
FPS.
FPS on a screen. That's more than like a lot of gaming handhelds.
We'll see. That's all I got to say. Is I'll have to.
We'll have to, if it actually does it, we'll see. Now I will say there are we'll get to the hands-on section later from where a couple people did some hands-on with it.
Yeah.
But some people got to test this in hands-on mode.
Right.
And they were like it was pretty impressive.
She says, "I think the Switch OG is amazing, but for real, frame rate is exactly what the Wii U is supposed to be. But I think the update for Switch 2
Oh yeah.
is so solid. Yeah.
So
Agreed.
Vivid, it's an LCD, which I know some people are weird about, but it's HDR LCD, so you get a lot of higher contrast stuff. A lot of people were mad that it wasn't OLED,
Yeah.
and I get that.
Get
it makes
3
it.
years.
it
or
ma-
2.
well, they got to have a reason to sell you another one in a couple years. so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
yeah.
immediately my thought. But also, we'll get to price in a second, but that's only going to make the price worse if you have to put an OLED
Yeah.
in there. So the new Joy-Cons, they magnetically attach.
I like it.
And then there's like a deactivate magnet thing on the back. It's like that little side button. Yeah.
Not bad. I like that a lot, though.
It's
It's
very
better
cool.
than sliding because the
Yeah.
sliding freaked me out.
There's so when you play it in the other mode, the side mode, they made your SR, SL buttons significantly larger.
That's great.
For like, when you're playing that way.
I love that. That's such ingenuity to be able to be like, all right, I can play with two hands, but I can also play two-handed with one controller. Like that's genius.
Yeah. So this is a point of contention. They did larger Hall effect sticks. Hold on, let me go back. They did larger Hall effect sticks, but they didn't use the non-drift kind.
I see.
So there's potential still stick drift. Because there's a kind of Hall effect stick that it's like a magnet in it, and it like has virtually no stick drift ever. They did not use that kind, so that has been confirmed. So there may be some issues with stick drift still. So as a person who uses my Switch a decent amount, I have never experienced stick drift.
I I think I did on like I had like one pair of Joy Cons that were like funky, but
I don't think it's as big of an issue as a lot of people say it is, and maybe that's just me. I've never experienced that problem, and I have like a second round Switch, and I play it a ton,
hmm
so wasn't really as big of a problem for me. I do like the idea of a bigger one. This is
hmm
interesting. How big do you think this is going to be a gimmick? The mouse controls.
oh, I
So let's
don't
talk
even
about that for a second.
uh do they expect you to have a mouse pad for that or just rub that on your carpet?
So I think if you're like playing it like a desk.
Ah,
So there's a person who I will show who tested this out um with the new Metroid Prime 4.
hmm. Oh yeah,
And
because you could it's
yeah.
as a shooter, so you could yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so you use right aim hand is the mouse
Okay.
hand, and then left hand is and you still fire with like the trigger on the top.
Yeah, okay, well that makes sense then.
And I feel like for games like Civilization or maybe like some more MMO games,
Like Doom or
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
more large scale RPGs could be beneficial to it. Uh I think it's really gearing themselves towards opening themselves up to more third party system
yeah. Emily
stuff.
says she's surprised it's only 450, which is like me too. I thought it was going to be more, but
Yeah, I think I priced it out at 400 is what I thought, but I also
yeah.
didn't expect as big of an upgrade.
I think I said like $500,
Yeah,
but we kind of like
we
were
kind of split the difference on that.
yeah.
They upgraded the audio. I haven't had anybody test that. The mic's built in. It does like a voice isolation
I
thing.
like kind of like the almost like graphite look to it where it's got
Yeah,
like the I
like
don't know how to describe
a
that.
slate black.
Yeah, I like it. It's like it looks like a
Yeah,
stone like yeah, slate or stone black or whatever. I like
yeah.
the little specks in it.
The new stand
It
is
looks
nice.
more reinforced than the
Two
other one.
USB-C ports. This is super nice. So you can charge it while it's in stand mode off top,
Oh, nice.
or put your camera on it.
Not bad.
Yep. So you can finally do that, which a lot of people.
That is really sweet.
They did upgrade the storage,
Wow.
which okay. So this is a big deal, and I haven't actually seen as many people talking about this. So this is a massive deal because the way that I was understood it in Switch 1 is the reason that certain games had to be shrunk and downresed so
Mm-hmm.
much is because they didn't want the Switch they didn't want a game to not fit on a Switch.
Right.
So they didn't want some games are so big that when you download it, you know, it's impossible for it to fit on a Switch by itself. It's multiple, you know, 50 gigs or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Uh, what this means is that because there's a larger internal storage, there's a lot higher capability for the types of games and they don't have to downres them or alter them quite as much
Mm-hmm.
for the Switch. So it'll actually make porting to the Switch. It should make it significantly easier from like a space perspective and like downresing perspective. They won't have to like degrade the quality quite as much
Mm-hmm.
in order for it to like come to Switch. And we see that with some of the games and some of the titles that are coming, you know? Some of the stuff that's like Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they're able to put Elden Ring on this is pretty cool.
That's unbelievable.
So let's continue with this.
I wonder if they're going to use the same SD cards.
So they don't. They talked about that.
Okay.
They the dock has 4K support. So it's 1080p on the handheld device.
Yeah.
It's 1080p, and then you get 1080p 120 on the handheld device, and then they lock you at six. If you see on the bottom here, frame rate is fixed to a maximum of 60 FPS for 4K output. So you can do 1080p 120 to your TV if you want, but if you go to or 1440p or whatever, but if you go to 4K, it locks you at
It's just going to cap it at 60
at
FPS.
60 FPS, which is not bad.
Not terrible.
I don't care about 120 personally.
I don't either.
Now for somebody like you who's streaming a lot, this being able to play in 4K 60 is going to be great.
Yeah, because like so Monster Hunter Wilds is a great example because I literally couldn't play that game and stream it at the same time because it's destroying my PC
Yeah.
trying to run that. But if I stream it off of a console like the PS5, it takes a load off my PC and it's literally just taking that signal from the PS5 and just putting it onto my computer. So it doesn't take it takes significantly less,
Yes.
hardware and resources to run that. So I love that. Yeah, you're right. I love that I could do that. It's such a high frame rate, and
Yep.
that's cool too. Like having
Yeah,
that
there's a fan built into it to keep it,
cool.
and they're showing it's backwards compatible to Nintendo Switch games, which is dope.
So again, I just want to confirm with you and to double check. At what point do they? So how is the storage? Is it just purely on the console?
So that is purely on the console. Hold on. It does say
Can you
later
upgrade your storage?
you can. You have to use the faster cards. Hold on a second. It talks about it.
So
Let's see.
It requires a special type of micro
Here you go.
SD card called.
So these are going to be the new cartridges.
Oh,
These are the old Nintendo Switch cartridges. The new cartridges are just going to be red. Which honestly, it's pretty dope. So you have to use micro SD express cards,
that's fine.
which is Brooks. That's what we use whenever we shoot. Whenever we shoot 4K on the cameras for the podcast,
Right.
that's what we have to use. Now,
Neat.
which means they exist and they're decently accessible. They are expensive. So let's look them up on Amazon real quick, just to get a.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. So, like the micro SD Express. Yeah, they're like $200 to $300.
Yeah, it's a lot more expensive.
If it's like, I'm looking at a 2 TB though, because I want that to be like my
Yeah.
main console.
Yes. So
Like,
yeah,
I
if
never
that's
wanna
the
run out of
goal,
space.
if that's the goal, you would want to get like a 2 terabyte and be able to have a ton more space. But it also means your load times are going to be faster. Also means that you're going to hold more games, all that kind of stuff.
How can you tell if it? I'm just dumb. How can you tell if it 2 TB Express
Micro SD XC.
XC is what it is?
And it has EX next to it.
XC, I see.
So XC1 with no EX is a regular micro SD card, but it has to have the EX next to it.
Oh, I see.
Which there aren't very many of those. Yeah, there's not a ton of those.
I wonder if they'll probably come out with their own.
Yeah, they have some. If you look on the YouTube on the video, yeah, they have like some Mario specific ones.
Nice. 'cause
So
I
right
wanna get
now-
at least a terabyte.
Yeah, right now they're only 256 gigs. They generally float around that, but I'm sure they'll have like some 1 terabyte options. People will make 1 terabyte options now.
Yeah.
If that's going to be the case. But yes, you can expand the storage.
Cool. That's all I need to know.
There is data transfer between the old Switch and new Switch
Cool.
for save games. This is the new Pro controller.
Amazing. Got to get that.
Yep. This is really sick, actually. So C button, obviously, have to have the chat button. This is sick. There's internal third pad buttons,
That's so great.
which are hot swappable to like whatever function you want to put them on.
Mm-hmm.
It's very reminiscent of like a PS5 controller in that way. And then the audio jack for headphones and mic stuff. So yeah, it's
Whew.
pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So that's all like the information about the new Switch, and then we just got a bunch of games. After that, it was just game after game after game after game.
That's so great. They did a good job with that. I think.
The highlight really, what for me was they obviously I'm a Zelda nerd. They brought in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and made Switch 2 editions
That's
of
awesome.
them.
If you have the games, you could just upgrade to that.
Yep. So this is what it looks like. This actually does look significantly better for Breath of the Wild, especially.
Yeah.
And then that's more Breath of the Wild. This Tears of the Kingdom looks crazy good.
Yeah.
Like that looks amazing. And then they have a thing called Zelda Notes, which is a different. It's like an app or something
Mm-hmm.
on the Nintendo Switch app, so you can check navigation. So like as you're running around the map, you can have the map pulled up on your phone.
That's cool. I like the integration of the app with
Yeah.
the app and the map.
Yeah. So your phone becomes your map, which is pretty cool.
Not
like
bad.
the big map instead of having to hop into stuff. Oh, and that's really cool. You can share your creations from Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, and then people just scan QR codes and just build it if they've
Yeah.
got the stuff. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly. So that's from a Zelda game perspective, that makes replayability kind of crazy actually.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have a feeling that a ton of YouTubers who build crazy stuff are going to be, because it just adds the schematic to your history. Look
Oh,
at
that's
that.
really awesome.
And then so I feel like a bunch of YouTubers are going to be making those and giving those away or putting those behind paywalls and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be pretty cool. Kirby Forgotten Land, they basically did DLC.
Yeah,
For
which
it.
is great. I wonder if you can get this if you have the game, or do you have to buy the game again?
So you have to not buy the game again. You buy it's like a upgrade. So look at this. This is
Oh
with
my
this is with the higher res,
Oh,
and this actually shows it with the using the mouse function.
yeah. I want to figure out. I would like to, because I haven't played Forgotten Land. I have it, and I've always been meaning to play it. But like, I wonder if you can just buy the DLC.
So you can buy the upgrade. It says it on, and this is the Switch
It was
2.
our favorite game.
Dude, it still doesn't look good. Like the Pokemon look better and the people look a little bit better, but the background textures still look like ass.
Yeah, true.
But they talk about it here. Let's see if I'll turn the audio on for half a second.
Will be available as both physical
So-
and digital versions. Edition games you The Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games you just saw will be available as both physical and digital versions. And if you already own the Nintendo Switch version of a game, you can play the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition by purchasing an upgrade pack. We
So
hope
they
you're looking forward to
will allow
these
you to
Nintendo
upgrade it.
Switch 2 Edition games.
So my question is how much are those upgrade packs going to be?
Yeah,
Probably $30. I would hope they'd be less.
yeah.
They're probably
more
going to
than
be
20.
$30 because most of their DLC is going to be like tends to be like $30-ish dollars, but like
Yeah.
I would really hope it's like if it's $20, that's going to make life so much easier.
Yep, I agree.
So we'll get to all the pricing stuff in a bit. This is it just goes through the handheld modes for stuff in different games. I do want to show you this. I just want you to watch this.
I have long observed the lands between,
And apparently this is footage from
This
it
world
being played on a
is in
Switch
dire
2.
need of repair. You can see them, can't you? The
Cutscenes all
rays
look
of
good.
grace that guide you through your burden. I have no doubt.
Which, like, if that's
you will
real
become
gameplay,
Elden
that looks pretty good.
Lord. May you take the throne.
Yep.
Not bad. I'm so happy. I'm gonna buy it probably.
Yep. Hades 2. They're doing a special Nintendo Switch 2 edition for Hades 2.
That's awesome. Are we getting Silk Song? I heard people talking about Silk Song.
So, yeah, it comes up in a later thing. We'll talk about that in a second. We did get Silk Song confirmed, baby. We'll get to
That's
that
great.
in a second. Emily asked, wait, does that also mean that if you have digital versions on the Switch, you can't play it on the Switch too? No, I do believe you can still play the game. It just won't be at like the higher resolutions. Like it'll just be the original versions of the game. It won't be set to like the higher refresh rates and the higher FPS. It'll basically like have all of it capped to what, you know, it'll cap it at the old system stuff.
Yeah,
I believe. That is what I assume. Now, it also would not surprise me if that was the case and they don't allow you to play those games, you know, on the Nintendo Switch 2 if it's not a Nintendo Switch 2 version.
Yeah,
Hogwarts Legacy, which we already have, it just looks better.
that looks cool.
It looks way better. The actual game, I have the actual game and it doesn't look that great.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Hawk looks really cool. They threw everything. Like any game.
That's cool that Tony Hawk Pro Skater's coming back to the Switch too.
Hitman,
Hippo Man.
and then 007. Here, I'll skip ahead a little bit. Yakuza. And then they announced the Hyrule Warriors game. Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment. And
Not bad.
you play as all of the legendary people in Zelda.
Oh, cool.
So you don't play as Link. It's like the time. It's supposed to be the time between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Interesting.
So I think it is like lore accurate. For the lore people will care about it.
That's cool.
This one matters.
And now, some news about Nintendo Switch Online. You can continue to enjoy Nintendo Switch Online on Switch 2. And with Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, you can enjoy a new membership benefit exclusively on Switch 2. Please take a look at this.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Nintendo Switch Online Plus
satisfying.
expansion pack will be getting a new classic game library exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo GameCube, originally released in 2001.
beautiful.
Here are the titles that will be available at launch. A Legend of Zelda game that looks like a cartoon come
It's
to
on
life
there.
through cell shading.
Everybody would
Controlling
have
the
been
wind using a
livid if it
mysterious
wasn't.
baton, Link sets sail on an adventure across the Great Sea. The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker.
I loved it. I haven't played that game in so long.
Transcending history and the world. A tale of
I also
souls and
love Soul
swords
Calibur, too.
eternally retold. In this 3D, weapons-based fighting game, each fighter comes
Which also, does this mean it's going to have online play? And is this going to become the new Switch online meta? Is Soul Calibur 2?
Who knows? That's a good question. I just
'Cause
wish they would
That would be really
make
cool.
a mode where you could just get rid of those damn sidebars. It bothers me so bad.
equipped
Oh,
with a
yeah.
different weapon. And Link from the Legend of Zelda series enters the fray. Soul
That's
Calibur
cool.
2.
Oh, like a widescreen hack? Because I think they have a widescreen hack for this game.
Not even,
Experience a
just like-
world of white knuckle racing at speeds
Even
over
if it was just
2,000
black, it would be
kilometers per
better.
hour.
Oh, then
30
the texture.
machines will put
Yeah.
it all on the line in
They might have
death-defying
that option.
races. featuring the series' first machine customization
Which is really
and
cool. We
story
get
modes.
F-Zero. I never played this. I missed this F-Zero game on GameCube.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people love it.
Yeah, I heard it's good. I missed it as well.
It also goes through. We get a controller. Here's a bunch of games. It goes
Get
through a bunch
ready.
of games. We get.
That support multiplayer. Enjoy these classic games with clearer image quality
So let's see
and
what we get.
higher resolution than the original releases. You can also check the controls for each title and customize them to your liking.
I do like that because that is very rare that they allow you to do that
That's
kind of
really
stuff.
cool.
More titles will be added
Okay.
in
Sunshine, Fire
Yeah.
Emblem, Path of Radiance, Gale of Darkness,
So
Ugh.
good. Strikers.
Strikers, Gas.
The original Luigi's Mansion. Coliseum too.
Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo Classics,
Dude, and this right here is the thing that might actually finally get me to be a Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion member.
True. True.
the Switch 2 exclusive game library coming to Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack, launches the same day as the hardware's release.
Ugh. And you can
And
only get it.
a
You can only get it for Nintendo Switch too, as well. So you can't
That's
play
great.
it. You can't do it on the old system.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A controller designed after the original GameCube controller will also be released.
And I also have confirmation. We'll talk about this in a minute, but confirmation from a couple people that online that went to the New York thing and played with this controller. It is quite literally exactly an old GameCube controller, just gutted and put like the digital systems. in it.
That's great.
So like for all the people that are like nerdy about their GameCube controllers,
Mhm.
apparently this is exactly the same.
Is it,
If
so
you connect
I may
wireless
have missed this
and
one
also
thing. You said.
has
So it's like a Pro controller, but just in the style of the GameCube controller.
a C
Yeah.
button to quickly access Game Chat. The Nintendo GameCube controller,
Yep.
exclusively available for
wireless, too.
Nintendo Switch Online members, will also be available
With the games GameCube. Games from the systems shown here on Nintendo
Yep.
Switch 2.
They really do offer a lot, which is amazing. Oh, hell yeah.
You know what this is? Yep.
Nice.
New Deltarune. For all of you sweaty, nerdy people.
I've heard this game is so good. So me.
Yeah. This is the other half of Undertale. So if you're an Undertale nerd, which is a lot of
Yeah.
people who loves the Switch, to be honest.
I've heard nothing but good about Undertale and Deltarune.
Yeah, Deltarune's the other half. And they're finishing, I assume finishing the story.
Backwards compatibility.
The music in this game is absolute gas. This feels like a game you should play on stream, to be honest.
Yeah.
Undertale and Deltarune.
Nice.
Amazing music.
Hi, I'm Randy from Gearbox.
All right. So, and they're doing Borderlands 4. They're doing Civ 7. Now, Civ 7 with the new mouse control makes a ton of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also hoping that given some time, we'll get Baldur's Gate 3 on Switch. That would be amazing. Let me skip ahead to some stuff. We are getting Final Fantasy VII Remake.
That's sick.
任天堂スイッチ2でファイナルファンタジー7リメイクインターグレードを発売いたします。
Wow.
本作はミッドガル脱出までを描いた3部作シリーズの1作目となり、20年以上の時を経て再創作された新しい FF7 を体験いただきます。スイ
I
ッ
just
チ
want to know
2
if
で
this
展開する
gameplay is
FF7 リ
from
メ
the
イクシ
console
リー
or
ズに
not.
ぜひご期待ください。
I just want to know if the gameplay's from the console or not, man.
Yeah, I understand.
That's all I want to know.
Cyberpunk.
So this is where they showed a lot of stuff. There it is. There it is.
That's so crazy that it's just like a oh, here you go.
Well, it's because they don't have a date. It just says 2025.
I'm so glad that that's happening. Wow.
Yep. We talked about that one. It just shows a bunch of games. So yeah, we'll skip ahead a little bit, but there's a bunch of stuff. This is the other one I wanted you to watch.
Yeah.
This is specifically for you, Brooks.
Already like it. The dude is passed out.
I give you my blood. I give you my life. Turn,
My dogs are pissed
O
off.
wheel, and transport him to a night of moonlight, to humanity's very dusk.
Ha ha! Look at this.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's hilarious.
Yep. That's terrifying.
Oh my god.
Some gameplay.
Oh my fucking Christ.
It's Bubby.
True.
Close your eyes and contemplate now the moon, as befits the soon to depart.
I pray that you are able, carrier of blood.
I mean, this just looks awesome.
That's just a T-Rex.
That's a T-Rex. That man's singing his little heart out.
The moon tears will flow for one, and one alone.
Terrible drip.
Yeah. FromSoft exclusive game for Nintendo Switch.
Is it Ratbird? No, it's just the Rat King.
No, it's a rat bird.
Wait, that's his actual wing?
Yeah.
What the hell? I thought there was a crow next to a rat, but it is the same thing.
Yeah. Yep. FromSoft exclusive game on Nintendo Switch was not on my bingo card.
Nope.
I did call somehow that we were getting Elden Ring on
That's
the
wild.
Switch. The fact
That's
that I
sweet.
called that the day before is crazy. Yeah.
That
And
looks so cool.
You called backwards compatibility, like full backwards compatibility, which is pretty
I
cool.
love it. That's all I wanted.
So yeah, there's about to say, this one was dope. People were freaking about this one. If you're an OG fan,
Nah. my friend Matt Pissarro. Shout out to Don Snack. Probably freaked out over this.
Oh yeah, Kirby Air Riders, baby. I'm mad excited about Kirby Air Riders. So we'll get to the end of it. The last thing was new Donkey Kong.
Monkey Kong 65. Should have predicted it. Should have.
They didn't give us a Mario. They gave us Donkey Kong Odyssey instead. Which does look very sick, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Look at your guy. Look at your man.
He looks awesome.
He does look really good. And the fact that the world is all, like, destructible.
I love his overalls.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
The world is fully destructible. That's freaking awesome. Big fan. This was their this was like their one more thing, basically.
That's so cool.
A little bit of 2D.
That's sweet.
Same, buddy. It's Brooks.
Dude. So right.
But yeah, I mean...
Bonanza's a funny name.
It's cool.
Oh, these are some pretty cool bananas. Oh, good heavens. I think that people were like, oh, they recreated the meme, and I was like...
That was a brand new 3D platforming action game starring Donkey Kong, called Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yep, so that's pretty much it. Like,
people are like kind of conflicted on the new look, which is usually what happens. I mean, that's pretty much if you have the same look for like a long time and then they have a different look.
I think it's cool. I like
think he
it.
looks great. I love that.
I think it looks super fun. I think playing this on high refresh rate is going to be super cool.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So that was they said available June 5th. We'll see if that actually happens. So
Did
now
I say June or July?
This says June.
I just forgot what I said.
I don't remember what. Oh yeah, I think you may have said July.
Probably.
No, I think you said June.
Well, somebody knows, and that person's not me.
I think you said June because I think I texted it to you saying that you called it.
Hopefully it'll be June.
But so now we've gone through the direct. It's all cool. It's all good. Everybody's pumped. Everybody's hyped. Now we get to the post conversation where they drop the price on us, which was $450.
Mm-hmm.
What is your reaction to that?
Okay, like that. There's so much that system offers that if you never bought a game for it and you just played NSO, you would have enough games for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and then I actually don't mind the console price at all.
I don't either. I think it's really good. I thought it was going to be more.
I think $450 is really good, and honestly, $500 for the console and Super Mario Kart World, or Mario Kart World, I'm pretty satisfied with like that as a pricing range. Because games right now are already more than $50, so the fact that you automatically for 50 extra bucks get a game, it's pretty solid.
And then people are like concerned about the price of $80 games.
So now, and I agree with that. I think that is where I start getting a little nervous. which is like we already went up to 70 at the end of the Switch 1's life cycle. For I believe Tears of the Kingdom was 70, and there was a couple other games that were also 70.
Well, like Monster Hunter Wilds is 70.
Yeah. And I am a little worried about them jumping to 80. Does that mean we're going to be at 100 by the end of this Nintendo Switch 2's life cycle?
Well, possibly, and it also encourages other companies to make their games that much.
Exactly.
Because it's like, what are you going to do about it? They can. If they wanted to make the games $90, they could. If they wanted to make them 100, they could. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to play it.
God, yeah, you're right. And the fact that it's a Nintendo game.
Yeah, you just got to be real selective about what you like and what you play, I guess, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the thing also is like I wish that I can almost understand like a third-party game being that much, but the fact that it's a Nintendo itself game being that much is crazy. I hope that if it's an $80 game, you would hope the replayability factor would be extremely high.
I hope they have like in-game achievements
and like free DLC and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I just wish that like we talked about before, I just wish there was like an achievement component inside of the game.
Mm-hmm.
To where it's like, I know it's like Mario Odyssey, for example, the achievement component is like the hundreds of moons you can get, right?
Yeah.
Like that's cool. Like I did everything in that game that I possibly could, but like having achievements to where it's like you do certain tasks is like Breath of the Wild and like Tears of the Kingdom, they have the side quests that you can do. That's kind of like, that's what I want to see. Is I want to see a lot of side content.
Yeah.
Because like Elden Ring is one of those games. It's like you don't really. The achievement is beating it, really.
Yeah.
And like
the achievement is existing.
I've platinumed it twice, and like the platinum for that is not super wild or crazy. So like, I think those games where you have those games have a lot of replayability because of builds and build variety and your personal challenge runs and things like that. But like, I just hope that there is an achievement factor inside of the game that's like built kind of like did you ever see people talking about completing like the Crash remakes and stuff like that, like Crash 4 and like all those? They say it's a nightmare. It is diabolical because there's just so much to do and it's difficult. There's just tons to do. But I think that that's like the fact that it is even there is really nice. So that gives you a reason to just play the crap out of these games.
Well, then it almost makes it more worth it if they're packing it in with stuff. They got to make it worth $80. And even then it's like I still I don't know. Tears of the Kingdom was $70 and it was so much stuff.
Right.
And so just the precedent it sets for people to not come correct with their games is not a great precedent. But I think people that are freaking out about the cost of the console itself that's dumb. I think it's worth $450.
Oh, I think it's more than worth. If they were to charge, I initially thought $500, and I was like, you know what, that's fair.
Yeah,
like it's the fucking Switch 2.
Well,
you know
and
what I mean?
They did so much. They upgraded it to the point where it's at least like competing with current consoles for the most, somewhat.
Yeah. I wonder what Microsoft and Sony are going to do about this, because I think the Switch 2 is like the thing to own.
Well, on top of that, it's also not really competing in the console world. I'm noticing that people are comparing it a little more to like Steam Decks and ROG Allies.
Yeah, I would argue that like Nintendo, I mean, there is a component of the console wars that but Nintendo has never been, maybe this is a hot take, but Nintendo has never really been about a specific console war. They're an experience war.
Yeah, they're just trying to do their own thing.
Yeah,
really.
and Nintendo has always been like the GameCube had its own discs, and like the Wii U, like it technically failed, but it was like they tried. The Wii was amazing, and then the Switch came out was amazing, and like the Nintendo DS. It's always been about the experience rather than the actual hardware itself. So I just think that as far as experiences go, sorry, Nintendo has been and always will be the king of experiences.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. So I want to hop over to another video talking about from Bob Wolf at the Wolf Den.
Nice.
Talking about, I want to hop around to his video a little bit because he went to the Switch event and got to get his hands on the Switch.
We walked in and there was little display cases of all of the stuff that you'll get in the box.
That's cool.
Just like the Nintendo Switch one. You got the grip, you got the little Joy-Con wrist strap thingies, you got the dock, you got a charger, which is better now. You have an HDMI cable. That's pretty much it. It looks and feels pretty much exactly like a dream hallucination of the original Nintendo Switch. If I handed you this Nintendo Switch 2 and you had no reference of what the original Nintendo Switch felt like, I bet you wouldn't even notice how much bigger it is. It's significantly bigger. It is really thin, though. So let's just skip right to the point. I compared it directly to the ROG Ally X. It is still smaller than that, even though the screen is bigger, and it's like way thinner. It's the same thinness as the original Nintendo Switch.
That's
so
crazy.
All that power packed into that little small body, I'm here for it. It's kind of incredible. The reason I brought the Ally X specifically is because A, I use that all the time. B, people were already doing comparisons with the Steam Deck. I was going to bring that, but you can just look at those comparisons. This has a 1080p 120 hertz screen. So both of these have 1080p 120 hertz screens, and they're both LCD. The biggest difference between these two screens is that the Switch 2 supports HDR and the Ally X does not. But the Ally X looks like it might be a little brighter. I'm not 100% sure if the Nintendo Switch 2 here is at full brightness because the home button didn't work on any of these demo units. They didn't want you going to the home screen. They didn't want you messing around with the settings or anything. Otherwise, pretty much the contrast looks almost the same. I didn't really get a chance to directly compare me like playing a game.
He was listening to the Black Keys.
I'm sure we'll get to that when I get my hands on this in 2 months from now. Do not be worried that this is only an LCD screen and not an OLED screen. The HDR more than makes up for it. It is very, very bright. The colors can be super saturated. There is a lot of contrast going.
I kind of like a super contrasty saturated look though for my Nintendo Switch games, to be honest.
I think for the style, yeah, I would agree that it complements it because it's not like I mean, contrasty might look weird with games like Elden Ring that are slightly more realistic, you know what I mean?
Darker,
But
yeah.
yeah, like darker, more realistic. When you have like real-looking humans, real-ish looking humans.
Any
but,
kind of Call of Duty game is going to be weird with a contrasty, saturated
right, but the
look.
stylized games of the Switch and their IPs, I think it works with very well.
The cartoony animation style, agreed.
Going on. The only thing that suffers are those black levels. The shadows don't look as deep black as they could on an OLED. But I think that's a decent trade-off considering we're getting 120 goddamn motherfucking hertz. I also really wanted to do this comparison. I don't have neon Joy-Cons at all. All these years. I wanted to directly compare the colors because the blues and the reds are different on this Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, they're
the neon Joy-Cons are notoriously hard to get on camera. It's hard to show off those bright colors because reds are difficult and bright reds are even more difficult. This is more like a salmon. So it is pretty accurate what you're seeing in the trailers and stuff. That's what you're going to end up getting. And that's fine. There's only one color. You take what you can get. We also got to see the new Pro Controller, which I missed when they announced it, but it's going to have a mic input, which is a lot better. Towards the end of my gameplay with this, I noticed that the D-pad on the Pro Controller is a little larger, and it felt like it was tactile snapping to cardinal directions. Like you can feel it wanting to go to a cardinal direction. I'm not sure if this is going to be better or worse than the old D-pad. I didn't get to play a game using the D-pad. I was just kind of futzing around with the D-pad. So I feel like it's possible they took the feedback that everybody had on the D-pad and tried to fix it, but I'm not 100% sure.
So I personally think that that's a great move. Because a lot of the games that you're going to play with that D-pad on the Pro Controller, you're going to want cardinal direction accuracy.
True.
You don't want it to be like this. The Pro Controller I currently have is a little squishy. So, oh yeah, here's the other thing they were talking about. Can you rip out the magnetic Joy-Con? Like, can you just pull it? Because there's nothing holding it there other than the magnets.
Because but you really have to go for it. You have to put some muscle into it. I didn't get to try this myself because I honestly didn't want to break the thing.
It's actually quite a bit of force.
Yeah.
In fact, it came off weirdly easy that first time, and then I kind of can't do it again. If you pull it from here, like I can't get it.
I'd be afraid to. It's pretty sturdy. Obviously, we don't recommend that you take the Joy-Con out that way, but you know, you seem like somebody who's pretty strong and. Some effort,
so strong. You see this guy? Tiny little hamsters.
I don't think you have to worry about it like falling off. You got to really put some muscle into it if you want to rip the Joy-Con off without disengaging the electromagnets.
So that's good to know too, because that was something that I was kind of worried about.
Right. Yeah. So you thought it would be like a little loose or flimsy, or
yeah, or like if I'm holding it for a really long time and like moving my hands back and forth.
Yeah.
Because right now with the rails, sometimes you can, if you put pressure on it, you can kind of feel it bending a little bit. With there being nothing there, I was a little worried about that. The other thing I wanted to show you was, let's see. Oh yeah. He used the mouse mode thing.
Oh yeah.
And we went over to Metroid, which is another thing I was excited about because that's up to 120 hertz and it has mouse controls. This was only locked at the performance mode, so only 1080p 120 frames per second. They locked this out of the quality mode, which is fine because I wanted to see the full 120 frames. And it looks very nice and it plays very nice. It is very smooth. They also had mouse pads set up. It would have looked a little better and worked a little better with a nice Wolfden mouse pad over at wolfdenapparel.com.
Shout out.
But I gotta tell you, that mouse mode is sick. It instantly changes between controller mode and mouse mode. You just have to point the Joy-Con at the desk and act like you're using a mouse, and you're instantly playing a shooter like you would on a PC. It is kind of awesome, and I think that's how I'm gonna play this game. And it is intuitive, and it feels really good. My only issue is that I was standing at like a standing desk, so there's no like elbow support. I'm not playing games like that. So I need to get that at home. I play most of my games at my desk, so I feel like that's going to feel really good. It feels really bizarre playing a first-party Nintendo game using a mouse. It's crazy. Also, just killing guys in a Nintendo game. Hopefully there's a way to adjust this.
Just mighty.
Just mighty.
I was thinking about that too. I literally had that thought when they're showing like the Switch and the like Final Fantasy VII remake, where Cloud is just cutting through real men with a giant
and that FromSoft Dustbloods game where he's just ripping out the soul of a person. Yeah,
that's cool. I'm glad we've evolved to be realistic with what games actually are.
Yeah. So yeah,
sensitivity.
So do you have
here's. He talks about the sensitivity
in a Nintendo game. Hopefully there's a way to adjust the sensitivity of the mouse, although the default settings felt kind of fine. I also think it did feel like a little weird, like trying to snap to enemies, but that could also just be, again, that I was standing and not in like a comfortable position. But I'm excited to try this and see it further. I have tried this on the Lenovo Legion Go, and it doesn't feel that good, because most games aren't set up for that situation. Like, you still need a keyboard for those games. But for this, you can just intuitively swap back and forth in the buttons. You still hold them in kind of the same way. So that felt
It is
like
like me. He's got some veiny
awesome.
hands.
I hope
Yeah.
that they implement that in Cyberpunk. I hope a lot of games start to implement that. It felt really good. Then
So that's good to know. That's a big thing that I wanted to show you was that.
That's cool.
No, that I thought that guy was moist critical. That's funny. Yeah, no, that I just wanted to show you that because he's the only guy I've seen so far talk about the mouse mode thing.
Right.
At least in that much detail because
That's
he
cool.
does do that. So I think I understand. Now we get into current day, right? So I can understand that. Oh yeah, I mean I can understand the mouse mode is weird, but I think for people who play games like FPS games and games like Civ and games like Baldur's Gate, it's probably going to be more for those kind of people. It'll probably get used in some weird Mario Party game or something. So now we get to current day. The pre-order has been delayed, right? I believe the pre-order has been delayed.
Yeah, I did hear that.
I can understand why because us in America just got hit with some tariffs.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
so
we did.
that could potentially change, and our economy is in flux right now. So that could potentially change how a lot of this works, especially when it comes to like importing stuff from another country. Now, I don't know if the there's like a hold on the tariffs for some countries, and I don't know if Japan falls into that or what or how this works, but we are currently in a kind of a weird limbo with it right now. And I mean, I'm gonna order mine. I might wait until like the second batch to order mine. I also might just buy mine while I'm in Japan
Oh, that would be cool.
and try to get a Japan version.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait until I can just go. I'll probably end up just trading in everything I have and just be like, how much can I get for these things?
Yeah.
And then just because I have a Switch, I have like the
Switch Lite.
Switch Lite, and then I'm have Pro Controller.
I am have Pro Controller. Yeah.
So I'm gonna trade those in, see what I can get.
I think getting like I think the best deal is going to be the Switch Mario World Kart World
I agree.
bundle.
I agree.
And,
So if I
and
can get a little bit of discount with that'd be great.
with a Pro Controller, I think that's going to be like everything that you're going to need for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very excited about it personally. I know a lot of people. I'm seeing a lot of hate about it.
Right.
A lot of people feeling like Nintendo's kind of just money grubbing. And I don't necessarily disagree with that statement.
It's like, yes, but here's what I'll say. Look, it will be expensive. This experience will be expensive, but in my opinion, I think overall, if you look at the overall big picture, I think it's worth it because there are so many things that you can get out of the Switch or Switch 2. And like the amount of flexibility you have with this console is more than we've really ever seen because you could share games, you could use old games as backwards compatibility, you have access to NSO Online where you could play NES, SNES, Game Boy Advance, GameCube, like all of these different games. There's so much flexibility with this console that you can experience it however you like. That's why I think it's worth the price generally. It is expensive, yeah, but it is so worth it.
Yeah, I think as long as like the tariffs don't make the price hike go even worse into like the $550 mark, I think it's worth it. I would have loved to see like a $400 option, maybe.
Oh yeah.
But I also understand that they're doing what
Switch
they
2
got to
Lite.
do. Yeah, and that's probably what that'll be. Switch 2 Lite.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Will
I'm
be
sure.
like $350, $400.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably do a OLED version for like $500, $550.
Do you have any other final thoughts? Because I have to leave soon.
No, I think I think I'm done. I think this is probably everything that we know up till right now from the last week that has happened about this. And if I find out any more information, I'll bring it to the table next week.
We will be talking about it here.
Yeah. I'll try as my best to bring the information to the podcast.
Right.
But put Brunus into baby jail.
Brunus into baby jail? Yeah. Put me in a dog cage.
Yep.
That's baby jail for me.
Well, yeah. Brooks, thanks for coming on the podcast. Thanks for hanging out and talking Nintendo Switch with me.
Sweet.
People, watchers, listeners, all that kind of stuff. Thanks for listening. If you want to hang out with us and you don't want to see our faces, you can check us out on wherever podcast platform you want to listen to us at Things We Like. If you want to see a replay of this episode, you can check it out on the YouTube channel at Things We Like Pod on the YouTubes. And love you all. Mean it. Forehead kisses.
We'll see y'all soon.
See ya.
Bye. Sweet. That was probably one of our best episodes we've had in a while.
That was really good.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I need to record something. I don't want to stream it, but I want one reaction video from you.
Yes, let's do that real quick, and then I gotta shit my brains up.
Yeah. Hold on, I also gotta shut these goddamn dogs up.
Yeah, this will be good to record.